Right. Well, I think that we're really trying to focus on attention to detail, doing the little things right. Don't think we really finished the last game the way we wanted to in terms of the discipline to attention to detail and fundamentals, and whether it's how you carry the ball, how you block, how you run routes, how you read the coverage, how you cover your man. I mean, it didn't really, matter a lot, and I think those are all things that we need to focus on improving on. We certainly have a lot of respect for anybody that we play and the team that we play. They're a good team. They've won 8 games, so we just have a better sense of urgency about how we prepare so that we can improve as a team.
First up, we have Chris Lowe of ESPN.com.
Hey, Nick, how are you?
Good, Chris. How are you?
Doing great. Hey, a couple things. First of all, now that we have pretty close to an entire body of work this season, as you look at the way offenses are playing, how fast they're playing, some of the numbers are being put up, do you sort of reconstitute what good defense is, what good defensive numbers are, or is this maybe just more of a one-year thing, Nick?
Well, I actually do believe that, offenses are doing a fantastic job of, attacking, using the circumstances, the rules that we have, whether it's to play fast, to keep the defense, sort of, from being able to do some situational things that they'd like to do, which all creates an advantage for themselves. I think that, a lot of the rules that we have in college football really can help offenses that are willing to try to take advantage of it, whether it's throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage and being able to block downfield, or, whatever these things are. And, I think it's more difficult, to play good defense in this day and age. I don't know that you reconstitute how you evaluate it, but I think that, the way you try to play defense, you have to reevaluate to try to, do a better job against the things that we're seeing now, which are a little bit different than maybe some of the ways you got attacked in the past.
The other thing, as you look at the West and the way it's continued to evolve, Auburn's so much better this year. Ole Miss's resurgence under Hugh, A&M. I mean, does the grind in that division in the West, Nick, just get tougher every year?
Oh, it's been really, really tough, and we have a lot of respect for all the teams that we played. I mean, even Mississippi State last week. I mean, they were a really good team that still, they've lost 5 or 6 games, and it's been all to teams in the top, 18 or 20. So, it's a really tough game every week, and the only way you have to have a chance to be successful, in our league or in this division is to really play well every week and be very, very consistent, on how you prepare and how your players, their sort of mental edge that they can win to every game with. And it's the key to being successful, because you really can't afford to lose a game.
Next is Sean Cartel of the SEC Digital Network.
Coach, given the way that the SEC championship game has played a role in determining the BCS championship game the last 10 or so years, how do you believe that moving forward the SEC championship game will affect the new college football playoff?
I really haven't thought about it that much, to be honest with you. I think that because there's always going to be 2 really good teams in the SEC championship game, that will certainly have, a tremendous bearing on who ends up being the top. It's always had a tremendous bearing on who would be the top 2 teams, and I think it will have a tremendous bearing on who will be in the top 4 teams. I think the scenario that you do wonder about sometimes, just like last year, whoever won our game with Georgia and whoever lost our game with Georgia, would you make a case that they're still in the top 4 teams? Because, in my opinion, Georgia probably was one of the top 4 teams. And I think that may be the issue that, people would have to say, because most of the time when you lose a game, you drop significantly. But when 2, the number 1 and the number 3 team are playing, or the number 1 and the number 2 team are playing, like when we played Florida a couple of years ago, 2 years in a row, what's to say that team's still not one of the best 4 teams?
You played in Atlanta a lot, whether it's the SEC championship game or the kickoff classic, and now Atlanta has a role in the new college football playoff. From your perspective, what makes Atlanta such a great city for college football?
Well, Atlanta's a great city in the South. There's a lot of great cities in the South, but and certainly Georgia's a great football state. As a lot of our states in the Southeast are, but it's a metropolitan area that's closest to us. That's sort of important to us in recruiting, and I think the games that we played over there have certainly added to the exposure that we've been able to bring to the program.
Thank you.
Next is Dwayne Rankin of the Montgomery Advertiser.
Yeah, Coach, you were talking earlier about how, how offenses are taking advantage of situations and going at defenses. The back shoulder throw has become something that, these guys practice so much it just seems like a natural play. AJ and Kevin has shown that connection throughout the year. But in terms of defending the back shoulder, what is the best way to go about doing that?
Well, I think what the back shoulder does is takes advantage of the guy that gets himself in position and actually looks over his inside shoulder like you've always taught for the ball, which is what everybody talks about with defensive backs. Is why didn't the guy look for the ball? Well, to me, when they throw the back shoulder throw, you got to be a little more patient in terms of when you look for the ball. Make sure the guy gets through the move area or wherever they would throw the back shoulder pass, because usually it gets thrown a little sooner, so the guy can turn back into the receiver and try to swat the ball more like the guy ran a hook, than if he was running a takeoff. So, it's really a timing throw, but it's also a timing play for the defender.